Good morning, Nigeria. Welcome to Daybreak, reaching you live from the nation's capital city. I am Zainab Bala. Our headlines for you this morning. My life being threatened over NNPC reforms, Kyari. Switzerland commits $756,000 to assist flood victims in Nigeria. And UK nurses to commence strike over pay. The news in detail now. The Group Managing Director of the Nigeria National Petroleum Company, NNPC Limited, Mele Kyari, has said that he is receiving death threats as a result of the ongoing reformation in the NNPC. Kyari made this known on Wednesday in Abuja at the Legislative Transparency and Accountability Summit organized by the House of Representatives Committee on Anti-Corruption. The NNPC boss said that as a result of the implementation of the Petroleum Industry Act, a lot of challenges are ongoing that affect the old order. He said the company had taken down several illegal oil refineries affecting the volume of oil production in the country. Kyari stated that as a result of the activities and effects of the illegal refineries, daily crude oil production had been reduced by 700,000 barrels. Switzerland is committing 750,000 Swiss francs, approximately $756,000, to support the humanitarian response to the devastating floods in Nigeria. The flood disaster in Nigeria has impacted more than 3 million people across 34 states, claiming at least 600 lives and displacing over 1.5 million people. Switzerland, in a statement on Wednesday, said its intervention is in response to a recent emergency appeal by the International Federation of Red Cross and Red Crescent Societies. The Swiss ambassador to Nigeria, Nicholas Lang, while expressing his satisfaction that Switzerland is able to support Nigeria and its people to overcome the crisis. Now, British nurses is set to strike over pay. The Royal College of Nursing said on Wednesday while announcing the first UK-wide strike action in the union's 106-year history. Britain's Health Minister Steve Barclay described the decision as disappointing. The move comes amid a cost of living crisis that the union says has left its members struggling to feed their families and pay their bills. Industrial action is expected to begin before the end of the year, with dates to be announced soon. The RCN is calling for a pay rise of 5% above inflation. Now, recent months have seen a wave of industrial action in the UK. Well, there you have it on the news highlights. Now, for more news, local weaving, otherwise known as Saga, is one of the major occupations of the people of Warawa local government area of Kano State. This century-old tradition, which has been a source of livelihood for many, is being threatened by lack of patronage. In this report, Trust TV correspondent Idris Jibril visited Warawa and reported on how the locals are benefiting from the trade in the midst of dwindling patronage. His report.
Alhassan Maisaka is the head of local weavers in Warawa local government area. Over the years, he has remained regular in weaving traditional clothes, mostly used by traditional rulers across the Hausa land.
We inherited this trade from our great-grandparents because no community will exist without three people: the religious leader, goldsmith, and a weaver.
Unfortunately, Al-Hassan says he is wondering if he can continue with the trade given the current situation. Lack of patronage, the inadequate capital, among other challenges, seems to be threatening the very survival of local weaving in Warawa.
There are a lot of challenges. Things are very expensive now. Materials we used to buy at 1,000 naira now cost almost 3,000 to 4,000 naira. So the whole thing is difficult for us. We can't get materials free.
These people, who are also farmers, say the weaving is now done only on occasional basis.
Honestly, government has never given us anything. For us, we are not getting any assistance from government. We are just on our own. They are not doing anything to us. We are just managing to see how we can be able to sustain the trade because it's like a tradition to us.
There are actually many people who are benefiting from this trade, who often take time to teach their children in order to sustain the tradition. But the major problem is the fact that there are no facilities, which means whatever they do here, they say they are doing it on demand. Someone has to come and ask them that I need so design, then they design it for them. In the absence of customers, these people will actually be out of business. Idris Jibrin, Trust TV News, Kano.
A very interesting report. Then moving on, Minister of Agriculture Mohammed Mahmoud Abubakar says there is no food shortage in the country as at present, despite the recent floods which devastated most parts of the country. But he does admit that prices of some commodities are high and there is a problem with inflation, which is a phenomenon that is playing out worldwide. The minister made the clarification when he spoke with newsmen at the State House, Abuja, after the weekly briefing of the Federal Executive Council on a day the Cabinet approved the revised National Animal Health Policy. Kainde Amodu reports.
Several factors have contributed to the present state of things, where the prices of food items and commodities have risen drastically over the past 4 months. The country is still reeling from after effects of COVID-19, climate change, the current Russia-Ukraine war, and now things are being compounded by the floods. But the Minister of Agriculture is insisting there is no food shortage yet.
One of the things is to make sure, first of all, that there is food in the country, supply and demand. That's why we are making sure that we'll do the dry season farming. We know a lot of farmlands have been flooded, and we'll lose some crops from the rainy season. So we want to make up for that. And it's not just the ministry, even the central bank, are involved in agricultural production. So we are banking on making sure that we do that. And the president is 100% behind the augmentation of food production, and we will do that.
And just as other countries are tackling the problems based on their peculiarities, Nigeria must tackle its own problems in its own way.
Providing inputs, fertilizer to farmers. That will also reduce costs, because if you are getting it at lower cost, you will definitely sell it at that. We'll improve production. We'll be doing intensive dry season farming. Again, not just the Ministry of Agri, but Central Bank will also be doing. So these are some of the ways that we will do to, and also prevent smuggling out of the country.
Further to this, the Council approved on Wednesday a revised National Animal Health Policy as part of efforts to tackle the rise of zoonotic diseases, particularly because such diseases coming from animals to infect humans seems to be on the rise.
As I mentioned, zoonotic diseases means one that can go from animals to humans. And we know, of course, Ebola is one of them. COVID, rabies, there are several of them, both viral and bacterial.
Also on Wednesday, the Council of Ministers approved the constitution of a Council on National Capital Projects Information System to review ownership of abandoned and uncompleted government buildings across the country. Closely related to this is the go-ahead given by the Cabinet for the creation of a database on the system to track abandoned and uncompleted projects across the country. Minister of State for Budget and National Planning, Clement Agba, who announced this, said the team would be led by the Minister of Finance, Budget and National Planning. From State House, Abuja, Kainde Amodu, Trust TV News.
Improved welfare for officers and men of the Nigerian police will win the fight against corruption, crime and criminality in the country. This is the submission of Minister of Police Affairs Maigari Dingyadi during 2023 budget defense for his ministry and agencies under it before the National Assembly Joint Committee. The report.
The police team, led by the Minister of Police Affairs Mohammed Dingyadi and the Inspector General of Police Usman Alkali Baba, The minister gave a breakdown of the total proposed budget for the entire police force operations and agencies under it, which stands at 871,347,212,609 kobo. He said despite the huge budget of the police still need more funding to carry out its operations across the country.
The summary of the 2023 appropriation is Table 3. The main ministry has total budget of 3,553,059,805 naira. The formations and commands, that is for Nigerian Police Force, they are having 805,580,450,659 naira.
Before his submission, the co-chairman of the committee, Senator Hali Rujika, advised the minister to restrict his budget submission to just the 2023 budget to the entire police force and its subsidiaries.
The proceedings today is going to be very simple. We are going to listen to the minister to highlight the subheads of the budget for the press. You know that this is a security-related budget and it's sensitive.
When it was his turn, the Minister of Aviation, Hadi Sirika, announced that the country will soon have a functional national carrier.
Good Chairman and honored members of this August House, I am highly elated to inform you that the national carrier Nigeria Air is well on its way to be launched soon with a Boeing 737 in its fleet for the domestic operations.
In the meantime, House of Representatives Committee on Culture and Tourism has shelved the budget defense of the ministry and all agencies under its purview until an oversight of project executed under the 2022 Appropriation Act. The committee took this stand when it became apparent that none of the agencies that turned up for the budget defense on the first allotted day met the criteria set by it.
Well, there you have it. Now I'm going to hand it over to my co-anchor. Hello, Ibrahim. Good morning.
Good morning, Zainab. Got stuck in traffic. Couldn't make it early.
Well, good to see you. Over to you now.
Yeah, it's nice to be here as well. So moving on, the federal government says over 12,000 inmates have been released from various correctional centers across the country within the last 6 years. In line with the policy of prison decongestion, the Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice, Abubakar Malami, stated this during the 2023 budget defense session. The report.
The Minister of Justice and Attorney General of the Federation, Abubakar Malami, while answering questions during the budget defense, said the ministry was able to decongest the prisons across the country through the policy actions in line with the Administration of Criminal Justice Act.
Progress has been made in being able to do reforms in the area of prison decongestion in the country and the accelerated trial of terrorism cases.
With your support, the justice sector has been transformed into an avenue not only for law enforcement, but indeed for revenue generation through the huge sums of money and assets being recovered by the ministry and other agencies of government, and also help to plug leakages in the financial system through elaborate monitoring and compliance mechanisms.
That the 2023 budget estimates for the Federal Ministry of Justice and its parastatal agencies, as contained in the appropriation bill before the National Assembly, is 71,291,012,971 naira only. Kindly note that this total sum is inclusive of the allocations to the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency, which is not an agency under the jurisdiction, the oversight jurisdiction of this committee. Also, the statutory transfer to the National Human Rights Commission, which is an independent statutory body and not one of the agencies under the Federal Ministry of Justice, is included in in the sum.
Earlier, the chairman of the committee, Senator Opeyemi Bamidele, said the 2023 budget estimate for the Ministry of Justice is in the tune of 71.29 billion naira, where he commended the president for increasing the budgetary provisions of the Council of Legal Education from 2.7 billion naira in 2022 to 10.12 billion naira in the proposed 2023 fiscal year.
Rivers State Governor Nyesom Wike and other 3 People's Democratic Party governors said the door is still open for reconciliation as crisis rocking the party lingers. The governor made the statement in Bauchi after a closed-door meeting with Governor Bala Mohammed. Adam Imam has the details of this report.
Just a day after Governor Bala Mohammed had a meeting with Atiku Abubakar in Abuja, the 5 governors who have openly refused to campaign for the PDP presidential candidate stood Bauchi State to meet with the governor.
All we are saying for equity, fairness, and justice. That is the hallmark of what PDP stands for equity, fairness, and what? Justice. We have never closed door, we will not close door. All we are saying, let the right thing be done. If the right thing is done, you will see how the whole place will be, the whole country will know that the election is over. This is the bedrock of the party. This G5 you are saying, we are the bedrock of the party. So we will not close the door for reconciliation.
Governor Bala Mohammed says he is confronted with challenges of anti-party activities within the PDP, explaining that at the meeting the visiting governors discussed issues affecting the party. He expressed hope that the issues will be resolved soon.
I've gotten some explanations because the letter I wrote was not only written by me, it was written by the PDP family in Bauchi and the government of Bauchi. And that is why I was there and we discussed extensively. As for the G5 governors, I always joke with them that I'm a G1, but I'm inexorably connected with them. We have always been together and you know it. Governor Wike, Governor Otom, Governor Vedua, and of course Obani, they have been here several times and I have gone to them several times. And I think this is some of the takeaways I have as a governor, having friends for life.
Benue State Governor Samuel Otom apologized to Nigerians on a comment credited to him, saying he will not vote for any Fulani presidential candidates. PDP National Chairman Ayu Chair Ayu and Director General of the Party Presidential Campaign Council Sokoto State Governor Aminu Tambuwal and other notable party chieftains also visited the governor recently. Adam Imam, Trust TV News, Bauchi.
And still staying with politics, People's Democratic Party presidential candidate and former Vice President Atiku Abubakar has promised to reactivate exploration of oil and gas as well as end insecurity in the northeast and the country if elected president in 2023. Now, Atiku made this promise during a campaign rally in Maiduguri on Wednesday. The report.
The huge crowd gathered at the Ramat Square of Maiduguri metropolis for the rally. Thousands that came for the presidential campaign rally include 2 governors, former governors, and key politicians of the PDP were present at the gathering. The party received over 5,000 defectors from the ruling APC party of Borno State. The campaigners wooed the crowd to support the Atiku and Okowa ticket during the ballot.
In southern Nigeria, both the southwest, the south-south, and the southeast, we are going to vote Atiku. I want to show to them that Nigerians are wiser. We cannot afford any more day after the 8 years of APC.
When he comes into power as president of this country, he will address the issues of insecurity, poverty, unemployment. His government will create jobs for the youth. Rest assured the people of Borno that Waziri Nadamawa is your son.
What PDP? All the women in Borno State, talk to your husbands, talk to your fathers, talk to your brothers, talk to your children.
We got information that they spent 5 billion naira to disrupt this rally. Our supporters coming across local governments were blocked on their way here. We now know that they are afraid of us. By Allah's grace, when we are elected into power, we will do everything to make Borno happy. We will scrap Botma and stop all unnecessary taxes. The People's Democratic Party's presidential candidate Atiku Abubakar said if elected, he promised to fulfill the Shehu of Borno's request of revisiting the oil exploration in Borno State, reactivating the Lake Chad Basin Authority, ending insecurity and restoring stable electric power in the state.
He requested that we should make sure the local governments are supplying power or electricity, which we promise we will do so. Again, he requested that we should reactivate the exploration of oil and gas in the Chad Basin, which we promise we are going to do that by the grace of God.
The PDP rally is happening across the northeast of the region to seek the support of the electorates ahead of the 2023 elections.
Well, there you have it. Now let's take a quick break. When we come back, the program continues. Stay with us.
Nigerians, elections are here again. Let us shun violence. Let us play the game according to the rules. Do not be a thug. Say no to violence. Let's rise and defeat violence, crime, and sabotage against the peace of our nation. Nigeria is the only country we have. We must do everything to keep it united. We must avoid any act that promotes hate and disintegration. Say no to separatist movement, terrorism, fake news, hate speech, religious bigotry, and any act that tends to divide us as a nation. Watch out for strange gatherings and suspicious movements. Restrict access to sensitive documents and data, the disclosure of which may damage national security. Educate your staff and family, particularly on measures to safeguard information and report security breaches. Apply relevant legal security guidelines to protect yourself and your neighbors. Due to misinformation and wrong choices, some idle persons resort to vices in their greed to get rich quick. They resort to kidnapping, killings for rituals, and other heinous crimes. Avoid wrong use of the social media. Before you broadcast that false message, think twice. Ask whether it will promote peace or violence. For safety at home, still be security conscious. Educate your household on safety tips. Report all suspicious movements and persons to the security agencies nearest to you. Be a good citizen. Be patriotic. To pass security information, please call 0813-222-2105, 0915-339-1309, 0908-837-3514, or send a mail to dsspr@dss.gov.ng. This message is from the Department of State Services, DSS.
situation where you find that you look at the
not necessarily tribal or regional.
But I have said that.
Welcome back. This is Daybreak on Trust TV, and right now we're going to go straight to the headlines of the newspapers to check out what's making the news this morning. We'll start with Daily Trust newspaper, and it carries this major headline on the front page. Presidential race. Controversy trails attack on Atiku's convoy in Maiduguri. And it has riders here. We were attacked by hoodlums carrying APC flags, says the former vice president. And it's fake news. Campaign rally held peacefully. That is according to the police. Thug arrested. Its stage managed to score cheap popularity, says the Borno state government. And going down the front of the front page, that was the bottom. Petrol to cost 410 naira without subsidy, says NMPC. Details of that on page 23. Aviation crisis looms over planned demolition of FAN NAMA offices. That's on page 23. And consumers kick as FCTA increases water rate. 8 Nigerians win U.S. midterm elections. Details of that can be found on page 5. Towards the top of the front page, below the masthead there, census to gulp 533 billion naira. MPC queried for spending 1.9 billion naira on conferences. For details of that, it's on page 8. And talking about insecurity now, 2 killed, 10 villages sacked in Kano, herders farmers clash, and that is on page 10. Now these are the major stories on the front page of the Daily Trust newspaper this morning.
Okay, let's take a look at some more stories on the Punch newspaper this morning. Controversy surrounds Atiku convoy attack in Borno. And some of the writers there read, ex-VP's convoy attacked twice, scores injured. APC responsible, and this is according to the PDP chairman. PDP faction behind attacks count APC out. Onanuga, Borno APC chair. There was no attack. Suspected hoodlum arrested, says police spokesperson. And then you'd see the story about Buhari prays successful tenure for Nigerian Americans elected in the U.S. And that story is on page 23 on the Punch newspaper this morning. And then right at the top above the nameplate, I told aggrieved governors my worries. This is according to Bala Muhammad. And then AMCOM recovers 307 billion naira debt. INEC to sanction 23 workers for illegal registration. And you see the story about 28 killed in Benue clashes. Government demands probe. That story is on page 14 on the Punch newspaper. You'd also find other very interesting stories like this one about car rams Ogun motorcyclist on one way, 6 crushed. That's quite a very tragic one. Again, kidnapper strike on Lagos-Ibadan Expressway, commuters shot. You'd also see the story about why Nigeria can't implement AU free movement. This is according to the federal government. These are the major stories on the Punch this morning.
Next, we'll take a look at the Nation newspaper, and it takes a slight departure from what we've seen. It says, oil thieves threatening my life, says NNPC LGMD. And there's a rider here that says, EFCC, we're investigating crude oil theft. ICPC, 90 demand transparency. And another story here, going political now. I have fears for my re-election, Bala Muhammad cries out. And it comes with a rider that says, we will rescue Bauchi governor, says Wiki. At the very bottom of the page there, Oyo government eyes 8.7 billion naira from new GRA, and kidnapped attempt foiled on the Lagos-Ibadan road. Details of that on page 2. Moving towards the top of the front page, 2023, Buhari predicts victory for Tinubu, says no going back on notes redesign. And Amotekun Corps rescues 6 kidnapped undergraduates in Ondo. At the very top of the front page there, Atiku promises to revive Lake Chad, fight insecurity. And 8 Nigerians win in U.S. midterms. Republicans take over House. And another interesting story now on page 27. Why I set my stepchildren ablaze, says a suspect. And pivoting back to something that has to do with politics, 193,000 PVCs yet to be collected in Kwara. Details of that on page 27. Now, these are the major stories on the front page of The Nation newspaper.
On The Guardian this morning, wasting assets. Experts doubt federal government's capacity to fund 20.51 trillion naira budget. You'd find some very interesting writers there. FEC approves team to sell reorder abandoned property. Government proposed asset sales in media propaganda, say officials. You'd also see that federal government yet to engage advisors. Program would not appeal to foreign investors, says Chioke. The legal constraints could stall process, and that's according to a lawyer. Buhari's asset liquidation performance is 0.65%. Only 5.92 billion realized from privatization proceeds in 7 years. The asset disposal model erodes country's intergenerational equity. You'll find other stories on The Guardian this morning. Meta purges 13% workforce may affect Nigerians in diaspora. And then Nigeria, others launch new Africa Carbon Market Initiative at COP27. Ararumi files 100 billion naira suit against Buhari over removal as NNPC chair. And on the Metro page, on page 8, why I set my 5-step children on fire. This is according to a suspect. Anxiety in PDP as Wike's camp visits Bauchi governor. And on the Panorama page, that's on page 2, Buhari congratulates Nigerian Americans on victory at U.S. midterm poll. These are the major stories on The Guardian.
Now, next we will take a look at the Leadership newspaper, and it carries this headline on the front page. As crisis escalates, PDP leaders woo Jonathan to placate aggrieved governors. And it comes with riders here that says ex-president has enormous influence over them, and we are still open to negotiation. This is according to Wike. I am inexorably connected with PDP G5 governors, says Bala Muhammad. And still on the front page of the Leadership newspaper, calls for humanitarian minister's removal unnecessary, says the presidency. Details of that on page 6. And still going with what we have seen so far, 8 Nigerian Americans win U.S. midterm elections. NNPC board chairman 10 months after Ararumi sues PMB for 100 billion naira over sack. Moving up towards the top of the front page there, 74 hospitalized as suspected thugs attack Atiku's convoy in Borno, and that is according to Dino Melai. Regardless of who wins 2023 election, tough times lie ahead, says the NESG. Now that's some gloomy news coming in from that side. And over at the top of the front page there, above the nameplate, insecurity, please deploy armed drones in strategic locations. Details of that can be found on page 6. And on page 25, speculators groan as Naira gains, sells at 780 Naira to $1. Now, these are the major stories on the front page of the Leadership newspaper this morning.
Very interesting stories there. Now, it's time for us to take a look at to do a proper review of some of the stories this morning, but that would be after this quick timeout. Stay with us.
But in a situation where you find that a person look like the same,
not necessarily tribal or regional.
But I have said that.
Welcome back. Thank you so much for staying with us. Now, to take a look at what the papers are saying this morning, we have in the studio Dr. Larry Oluwani. He's a public analyst. Thank you so much for joining us on the program this morning.
Thank you very much for having me.
Forgive me if I mispronounced your name.
No, it's okay.
All right, so let's jump straight into it. One of the major stories making the rounds is actually a political one. PDP held its rally in Maiduguri yesterday, but unfortunately the main talking point wasn't the rally itself. It was the aftermath of the rally, or something that happened outside the venue of the rally, whereby the accusations and counter-accusations of thugs attacking the convoy, some denying it, some saying it was the opposition, and so many things being generated from that particular rally. What do you make of the entire situation?
Yeah, thank you very much. Yeah, this election campaign season, there's going to be more of it, acquisition and counter-acquisition. But the reality is that we're supposed to move more than this. This is almost 23 years of democracy in the Fourth Republic. Steady. So we are still looking for a cheap way to score a goal. That's the way I see it. And there may be truth, but the police PRO said it, that they are not able to arrest anybody. So they are denying it. So the police is the middleman between the APC and the PDP. So if the PDP say we were attacked and the APC say no, this is just a way to score a cheap goal. But nevertheless, what's important most is that we should start thinking beyond all this. Each candidate, each party should be able to tell Nigerians what they want to do for the citizens of the country. Not looking for a weak point somewhere or looking for something to play on the emotions of people, or to look for a way to be, you are looking for sympathizing, we call it sympathizing votes. Or try to discredit the other party, whatever. It has been happening many years. It's not a new thing, both in the both parties. Both of them do all those kind. But the major thing there is that we should move ahead. We should think ahead. We should look for more strategy to woo the voters.
All right, well, the campaign season just kicked off, but already we're seeing pockets of violence here and there when it comes to some rallies. I think we saw some in Kaduna and now in Maiduguri as well. Is this setting a precedence for what we might expect subsequently or throughout the campaign season?
We have to speak to Nigerian police force, and we have to speak to the party that they need to tell their people to remain calm. You cannot rule out the violence in anywhere in the world. You can watch some Premier League, you see some people somewhere, pocket of violence somewhere. Just one thing may trigger one thing. But it's the responsibility of the law enforcement agent to curb the violence so that it will not lead to crisis. And it's the responsibility of the umpire to always speak peace, preach peace to the people. So we can't rule it out. We're in a large society and anything can happen. But we have a law enforcement agent to do their work.
Very interesting. Now, another very interesting story that's seen very, very important to us at the moment is the issue about fuel. We're saying that petrol to cost 410 without subsidy. That's according to the NNPC. And at the moment, it's not even available. People are struggling to have access to the commodity.
You know, the issue of petrol has been a major challenge, even to us as one of the major oil countries in OPEC. But at the same time, we are not able to manage it and to channel it in the right direction. What am I saying? We are producing crude oil. We are unable to refine it. So what we do, we all know, we export crude oil, we bring back a refined product. And when you export crude oil, you want to bring back, they refine for you in another country. And when they refine for you, they will charge you based on the international rate of dollars. And there is global recession already. And there is a challenge already in the oil industry due to Russia-Ukraine war. So definitely you are going to feel the heat. But let us know we are refining here, especially maybe we are refining the major oil that we are using, that we are consuming as a nation. That means we don't have cause for alarm. We just get our crude oil somewhere, we refine it for ourselves, and we sell it, we can regulate our price. So, but you cannot regulate your price any longer because you have involved another third party taking the crude outside your shore, bringing back the refined product back to your shore. There is a process to it. The host country will benefit. The intermediary between the host country, which are companies, will also benefit. So that's what we have been saying. I'm not shocked about it because they were talking about subsidy. We realize that they are spending 6 trillion for subsidy to subsidize it. Now, they have not removed subsidy, and they are telling us that the way things is going is going to be 400 naira per litre. So what is the way out? Everybody knows it.
That's quite horrible, I would say.
Yeah, it is.
And another story that's closely related to this is the one on the Nation newspaper, where we are seeing the NNPCL GMD saying all thieves are threatening his life, and then the EFCC are saying they are going to investigate crude oil theft, just to demand transparency in the long run.
You know, there are some powerful sectors in this country, which I'm aware of, that when you are privileged to head one of those sectors, they look after your life. They look for a way to hunt you there, especially when you are doing the right thing. I could remember when the late Dora Akunyili happened to be the DG of NAFDAC. Her life was attempted many times. Why? She's doing the right thing, fighting the drug lord in the southeastern of Nigeria. So we are in a society where you stick your head to the rules, and when you want to make changes in your own spheres, definitely you're going to feel manner of attacks. So it's a responsibility of the government as well to give him adequate protection and to make him have a rest of mind, and his family as well, not only him, that nothing will happen to you. Continue your good work. Because if you're not doing good work, nobody will look for you. But if you are part of the, I'm not standing for him, and I'm not, but I'm just saying it. If you're not doing good work here, as far as this country is concerned, nobody will look after you. If you are corrupt, if you are biased, if you are this, if you are going, but if you are sticking to the rules in this country, you should expect attack. We all knew what happened to El-Rufai as well, as the FCT minister in this country. Different attack, different threats, different things. So that is the country we find ourselves, and quite unfortunate, because the bad ones want to have their day. So when I keep telling people, in the issue of nation building, is a collective effort, and that is the area majority of Nigerian citizens, even the professionals, they don't realize. They believe that nation building have to do with government. No, it's not the government. It's not a government role alone. Government have a major role, because we only have few people in government. What about the other sectors? What about you that you are bringing illegal things? What about you that you are causing the oil debt at the South region? What about you? Are you not destroying the nation? Are you building the nation? What about you that you decided to kill your stepson or step whatever? Are you developing the nation? So people don't understand when they all categorize everything upon the central government. I said, no, you don't get it. We are only playing at the gallery until we begin to tell ourselves, we are men. Like what we are doing this morning, we are contributing our quota to the national development.
All right, well, speaking about national development, one aspect of Nigeria that we don't seem to, which is related to what we've just finished talking about, is actually the economy. Every time you look at it, there's something wrong with it. And right now, we have so much high hopes. Nigerians have high hopes that with the coming election, maybe a new government might come, bring in new policies and straighten things out. But now the National Economic Summit Group is actually saying that regardless who becomes president, the tougher times lie ahead for Nigeria when it comes to the economy. So they are predicting a gloomy affair, so which means we're staring it in the face. Is there anything we can do to mitigate it?
Yeah, there is always a solution. I don't believe in giving out a problem without having a way out. Nobody will come from anywhere to build our economy for us. There is no foreigner that can build our economy for us. An angel will not fall from heaven to build our nation for us. God has deposited in the life of every individual wisdom and knowledge on how to turn things around. There can be global recession, there can be economy, there can be difficult things ahead. Nice, you are giving us what to discover. But it's now, responsibility now lies on the leader that is coming, the new administration that is coming, and put up a good team. When you are able to put up a good team, it's not your wisdom. There must be wisdom, there must be way out. So we find ourselves in this situation. There must be a way out. So do we now want to say, because there's going to be a problem in 2000 and whatever, we fold our hands and we allow the problem to come upon us as a nation? That means we're not human beings. So there are other issues across the world as well. We have 2020 COVID-19 pandemic period in the whole world that hit America in a hard way. It hit UK in a hard way. The whole Europe rather, in a hard way. Didn't they come out of it? Come on. They should stop steering something that is not steerable. That is the things I don't like to hear. Is that not happening in Russia and Ukraine war? Who can believe that someone like Zelensky can stood against Vladimir Putin? And now I'm happy to hear that Putin is now withdrawing his troops. So come on, they should not make us look as if Nigeria is unfixable. Nigeria we have 100% capacity of human resources as far as this nation is concerned. If the new administration ready to harness them, we have a lot of global experts in economics. I can mention their name. We have them among us. Mm-hmm. So if you reach out to these people as your economy advisory committee, let them bring out ideas, set up different committee, give us solutions. There must be a solution. So don't tell me we have the other Europe are passing through more than this. You know the inflation rate in Europe as I'm talking to you, because they want to stop collecting, they want to stop getting gas from Russia. The food supply has reduced. Did they die? What are you telling me?
Well, it looks like the next administration has a lot of work to do then.
Yes, there is a lot. Government is continuity. I always tell people, the higher we go, the higher the challenges, whether you take it or you leave it. Mm-hmm. Check your whole life as well. The more you grow in life, the more the higher challenges.
Absolutely.
You can't tell me the same challenges you faced last year is what is facing you this year. And the more you grow, the more it keeps increasing. That's the reality of life. And the same thing about nation. The more we grow as a nation, the more we go deep in our democracy, the higher our challenges. We don't foresaw Boko Haram issue. We do not foresaw bandit and S-men clashes. Didn't we? We did not. But it happened along the line of our destiny. Someone must come in and solve the problem. We don't know what can happen next year as well.
Absolutely. Well, let's talk about good news now. We saw that 8 Nigerians won in the U.S. midterm elections. How did that news come to you?
It's a great things. You know, Nigeria are always doing great things, great
outside of their country.
Yes, because they have enabling environment. What every individual needs to achieve your potential in life is to have a good enabling environment, an opportunity platform. So that is what is lacking here. We have not grown to the level whereby we harness our potential in all spheres of influence. So they have a good enabling environment, good place to study, good place to show their skills and potential, and they go for it. But here is when you see somebody that is brilliant on the internet, but because he doesn't have money, you don't bother to vote for him or her.
Well, actually, with these Nigerians now that have actually won these elections in the US midterms, we have quite a lot of number of Nigerians in many other countries actually doing well. I think some are in Canada. We have members of parliament in the UK and all that. Do you think this growing number of Nigerians doing very well in diaspora will go a long way in enhancing Nigeria's reputation in the International Committee of Nations? Because
definitely. But the funny part of it is that most of the people you are mentioning, they cannot associate with your country any longer as much as you expect. Don't make that mistake. That's the truth. They have some of them have a dual citizenship, and some of them don't even have dual citizenship. They may be bearing your name, but they are citizens of America.
Right.
They are citizens of Canada. They are citizens of, like all those guys you see, the lady contesting prime minister in UK. She's a full-blown British, but you may be looking at the color of her skin or the name she bears that make you feel is one of our own. Forget that. Because why? They grow up there. The system have taken them off. What I mean by that is that when you grow up in those countries, anything about even Nigeria is not even recorded in their memory. That's the truth. They are full. Yes, they have checked them up. You have a child in any of those countries at the age of 5 years old now, give that child just 10 years. They won't even talk about Nigeria again. They don't even know what is happening in Nigeria. So they 100% associate themselves with that country that gave them the opportunity, that gave them the platform, and they are ready to defend that country, not your country. So don't deceive yourself. They are Nigeria by name, they are not Nigeria by citizenship. That's the truth.
Okay, that's an interesting take on it. All right, so let's still come back to Nigeria. The federal government actually proposed a budget of 20.5 trillion naira for the 2023, and a headline right here on the Guardian newspaper says, "Wasting assets, experts doubt federal government's capacity to fund this 20.5 trillion naira budget," because the federal government seems to have a lot of assets that are dormant and they are being wasted and we're not generating enough revenue. What's your take on this?
Yes. You know, while it's a proposed budget, it doesn't mean they can get up to that. But at this point, the funny thing is if they're still trying to go and borrow money to sponsor the budget, like they're actually correct. There are a lot of loopholes. There are a lot. I can tell you more and more and more. A lot of loopholes in our revenue that the federal government are not paying attention to, and they are not, I don't know whether they are not care or they look at it and maybe they have tried their best. But to me, my advice to any next administration is let them try as much as possible to onboard all these parastatals. We have single treasury. Upon the single treasury that we have, there is still all manner of shady business going on. Don't worry, bring the money, we will help you to pay remitter. They collect their own, they pay the little one they will pay to remitter. They are always finding a way to beat the system. So we should look for a way for the citizens of the country, the workers in the country will not be able to beat what we lay down. And that's what makes a good society. They asked Donald Trump a question. Why don't you pay tax? Why do you have, you know, when he was contesting, he said to them, is it his own problem? It's not my problem. If I don't pay tax, you don't have agency that look after, that go and track people that don't pay tax. I mean, I'm smarter than your sister. And the case closed because it make a brilliant something. It may look fraudulent, but it's not my fault. You have a system. I let your system track me. So we don't create a solid system that we get these corrupt practices, block this loophole so that we have a lot of money in this country. I keep saying it. We have a lot. If the money that are leaking alone able to get to the right place, oh, come on. We won't be talking what we're talking today.
All right, well, that's quite an interesting note and quite interesting take on things. And on that note, we're going to wrap up the newspaper analysis for this morning. Dr. Larry Oluwani, thank you very much for coming on the show this morning and providing those interesting insights as to the headlines. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
All right, it's still Daybreak on Trust TV. We'll take a short break, and when we return at the top of the hour, the show continues. Just stay with us.
When a situation where you find that they look like
not necessarily tribal or regional.
But I have said that.
That's great.
Good morning and welcome. It is top of the hour, 8 o'clock, and this is Daybreak on Trust TV. I am Ibrahim Yusuf.
And I'm Zainab Bala. Thank you so much for joining us.
All right, so we'll go straight into the headlines on the hour. All right, U.S. elections. Buhari congratulates 8 Nigerians on victory.
Switzerland commits $756,000 to assist flood victims in Nigeria.
And UK nurses to commence strike over pay.
The news in detail now. No fewer than 8 politicians of the Nigerian descent won their legislative seats on Tuesday night during Georgia, Pennsylvania, and Minnesota state elections in the United States of America. It was also confirmed by the chairman of the Nigerian Diaspora Commission, Abike Dabrierewa, on Twitter. The U.S. state of Georgia general election was held on Tuesday, November 8, 2022, with runoffs to be held at a later date for those races which are not yet decided by majority vote. Meanwhile, the President, Muhammadu Buhari, on Wednesday congratulated 8 Nigerian Americans on their victory during the midterm elections in the United States. In a statement signed by his special advisor on media and publicity, Femi Adesina, the President extends warmest congratulations to 8 Nigerian Americans on their victory in the U.S. midterm elections. The 8 Nigerians are Shegun Adeyina, Gabi Okoye, Solomon Adesoya, Tish Nagishe, Phil Olale, Carol Kazim, and Esther Agbaje. President Muhammadu Buhari on Wednesday also met with His Royal Majesty King Charles III in Buckingham Palace. While the reason for the meeting was not clear, both leaders expectedly discussed bilateral relations and how the United Kingdom can help Nigeria in the fight against terrorism. President Buhari is in the UK for a medical checkup. He left on October 31st.
And Switzerland is committing 750,000 Swiss francs, which is approximately $756,000, to support the humanitarian response to the devastating floods in Nigeria. Now, the flood disaster in the country has impacted more than 3 million people across 34 states, claiming at least 600 lives and displacing over 1.5 million people. Switzerland, in a statement on Wednesday, said its intervention is in response to a recent emergency appeal by the International Federation of the Red Cross and Red Crescent Societies. The Swiss ambassador to Nigeria, Mr. Nicholas Lang, while expressing his satisfaction that Switzerland is able to support Nigeria and its people to overcome the crisis.
Moving on, British nurses are yet to strike over pay, the Royal College of Nursing said on Wednesday, while announcing the first UK-wide strike action in the union's 106-year history. Britain's Health Minister Steve Barclay described the decision as disappointing. The move comes amid a cost of living crisis that the union says has left its members struggling to feed their families and pay their bills. The industrial action is expected to begin before the end of the year, with dates to be announced soon. The RCN is calling for a pay rise of 5% above inflation. Now, recent months have seen a wave of industrial actions in the UK.
Well, and that's it for the news headlines. We'll take a few reports now. The federal government says over 12,000 inmates have been released from various correctional centers across the country within the last 6 years. And this is in line with the policy of prison decongestion, according to the Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice, Abubakar Malami. And he said this during the 2023 budget defense session. The report.
The Minister of Justice and Attorney General of the Federation, Abubakar Malami, while answering questions during the budget defense, said the ministry was able to decongest the prisons across the country through the policy actions in line with the Administration of Criminal Justice Act.
Progress has been made in being able to do reforms in the area of prison decongestion in the country, and the accelerated trial of terrorism cases.
With your support, the justice sector has been transformed into an avenue not only for law enforcement, but indeed for revenue generation through the huge sums of money and assets being recovered by the ministry and other agencies of government, and also help to plug leakages in the financial system through elaborate monitoring and compliance mechanisms.
That the 2023 budget estimates for the Federal Ministry of Justice and its parastatal agencies, as contained in the appropriation bill before the National Assembly, is 71,291,012,971 naira only. Kindly note that this total sum is inclusive of the allocations to the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency, which is not an agency under the jurisdiction, the oversight jurisdiction of this committee. Also, the statutory transfer to the National Human Rights Commission, which is an independent statutory body and not one of the agencies under the Federal Ministry of Justice, is included in the sum.
Earlier, the chairman of the committee, Senator Opeyemi Bamidele, said the 2023 budget estimate for the Ministry of Justice is in the tune of 71.29 billion naira, where he commended the president for increasing the budgetary provisions of the Council of Legal Education from 2.7 billion naira in 2022 to 10.12 billion naira in the proposed 2023 fiscal year.
Moving on, Rivers State Governor Nyesom Wike and other three People's Democratic Party governors said the door is still open for reconciliation as crisis rocking the party lingers. The governor made the statement in Bauchi after a closed-door meeting with Governor Bala Mohammed. Adam Imam has the details of this report.
Just a day after Governor Bala Mohammed had a meeting with Atiku Abubakar in Abuja, the five governors who have openly refused to campaign for the PDP presidential candidate stood Bauchi State to meet with the governor.
All we are saying for equity, fairness, and justice. That is the hallmark of what PDP stands for equity, fairness, and what? Justice. We have never closed door, we will not close door. All we are saying, let the right thing be done. If the right thing is done, you will see how the whole place will be, the whole country will know that the election is over. This is the bedrock of the party. This G5 you are saying, we are the bedrock of the party. So we will not close the door for reconciliation.
Governor Bala Mohammed says he is confronted with challenges of anti-party activities within the PDP, explaining that at the meeting the visiting governors discussed issues affecting the party. He expressed hope that the issues will be resolved soon.
I've gotten some explanations because the letter I wrote was not only written by me, it was written by the PDP family in Bauchi and the government of Bauchi. And that is why I was there and we discussed extensively. As for the G5 governors, I always joke with them that I'm a G1, but I'm inexorably connected with them. We have always been together, and you know it. Governor Wike, Governor Otom, Governor Vedua, and of course, Obani, they have been here several times, and I have gone to them several times. And I think this is some of the takeaways I have as a governor, having friends for life.
Benue State Governor Samuel Otom apologized to Nigerians on a comment credited to him, saying he will not vote for any Fulani presidential candidates. PDP National Chairman Ayu Chair Ayu and Director General of the Party Presidential Campaign Council Sokoto State Governor Aminu Tambuwal and other notable party chieftains also visited the governor recently. Adamu Imam, Trust TV News, Bauchi.
That's great.
And moving on to our next report, still talking politics. The People's Democratic Party presidential candidate and former Vice President Atiku Abubakar has promised to reactivate exploration of oil and gas, as well as end insecurity in the northeast and the country if elected president in 2023. Now, Atiku made this promise during a campaign rally in Maiduguri on Wednesday. The report.
The huge crowd gathered at the Ramat Square of Maiduguri Metropolis for the rally. Thousands that came for the presidential campaign rally include 2 governors, former governors, and key politicians of the PDP were present at the gathering. The party received over 5,000 defectors from the ruling APC party of Borno State. The campaigners wooed the crowd to support the Atiku and Okowa ticket during the ballot.
In southern Nigeria, both the southwest, the south-south, and the southeast, we are going to vote Atiku. I want to show to them that Nigerians are wiser. We cannot afford any more day after the 8 years of APC.
When he comes into power as president of this country, he will address the issues of insecurity, poverty, unemployment. His government will create jobs for the youth. Rest assured the people of Borno that Waziri Nadalawa is your son.
Vote PDP! All the women in Borno State, talk to your husbands, talk to your fathers, talk to your brothers, talk to your children.
We got information that they spent 5 billion naira to disrupt this rally. Our supporters coming across local governments were blocked on their way here. We now know that they are afraid of us. By Allah's grace, when we are elected into power, we will do everything to make Borno happy. We will scrap Botma and stop all unnecessary taxes. The People's Democratic Party's presidential candidate Atiku Abubakar said if elected, he promised to fulfill the Shehu of Borno's request of revisiting the oil exploration in Borno State, reactivating the Lake Chad Basin Authority, ending insecurity and restoring stable electric power in the state.
He requested that we should make sure the local governments are supplying power or electricity, which we promise we will do so. Again, he requested that we should reactivate the exploration of oil and gas in the Chad Basin, which we promise we are going to do that by the grace of God.
The PDP rally is happening across the northeast of the region to seek the support of the electorate ahead of the 2023 elections.
All right, thank you so much for staying with us. Now it's time for us to take a look at other discussions on the program this morning. The Indigo Youth Organization recently warned that the Southeast region cannot afford to go into the 2023 general election as a divided house. Now, the organization also cautioned Southeast politicians against inciting the people of the region against actions and utterances that would further alienate them from the mainstream political and economic circles. How are the Indigos strategizing to take over power in 2023? As some would say, taking power is a serious business that requires rigorous planning processes. Nobody surrenders power to you because you think you deserve it. Now, to discuss this, we have in the studio a prominent Igbo politician, the national chairman of All Progressive Grand Alliance, Chief Edozie Njoku. I hope I pronounced your name correctly. Good morning and welcome to Daybreak.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
All right, welcome to Daybreak, sir.
Yeah, thank you.
So let's start with this. The Igbo have been agitating for Igbo presidency for a while now, and even on the sidelines of that, there's always this cry of the Igbo being marginalized. But some quarters, in some quarters, people say that it's not really marginalization that is the problem, but the lack of cohesion within the Igbo people. How true is that?
Thank you again. Thank you. We've actually touched on something like this in this studio before.
Okay.
I really don't feel that the Igbos are not, they are organized.
Okay.
The Igbos know what they want. I feel every section of Nigeria know what they want. But Nigeria is a little bit more complicated than comes to the eye. I give you a simple example. It's something happening in APGA, where APGA is a political party. It's a national party. But the people of the Southeast have a very strong affection for APGA. It's a party that they intend to use to get all the House of Assemblies, get the House of Reps to speak for them. But you will notice that there will always be forces that will not want that voice to be heard in unison. Up to an extent that if you notice what has happened in the past 2 days, that a retired Supreme Court judge had to come back with a statement, had to make a statement which was, I'm sure you were aware of it, through a World Press Conference 2 days ago, to tell everyone that there was an amendment of a judgment in the Supreme Court in which a gentleman who's claiming to be national chairman, who INEC has been recognizing, I will leave it with you, said that he's not the national chairman of the party. In the letter, because I wrote a letter to the panel of judges and the CJN, and they replied me back, the heading, National Chairman APGA, and that Oye was never a party to that suit. And they don't know why INEC is still recognizing them. These are little things that happen in this country. But when it's not happening to us directly, we shove it aside and say, no, people are not in unison. How will people be in unison in a party that they don't even know who is their leader? You bring one man and he says he's a chairman, and you expect them, they will not follow him. And you will find out that in small areas of this country, such things are happening. But because I'm not from maybe one tribe in Calabar or one tribe in Nasarawa State, I won't understand what they are suffering. So when they are crying with their plight, I'm just saying, what are these people crying about? But that's the situation going around in this country.
All right, so you made an interesting point about APGA and having its stronghold in the Southeast.
Yeah.
That has drawn a lot of people to make the conclusion that APGA has been in existence for a while, for a very long time, but it's still considered as a regional party. even though it does try to portray a national image, but it is well considered to be a regional party domiciled in the southeast. Isn't it high time APGA starts thinking about going national, as in really going national?
APGA has gone national with, I'll give you an example. In the executives that the other gentleman, Oye, is saying is national, there are 7 substantive positions in a party. They took 5 of them and gave to Anambra State and 2 to the rest of Nigeria. In Congress, in the proper Congress that was done in Owerri, it's all around the whole state. There's nowhere you have 2 substantive, like in Imo State, I'm the national chairman. The next position is an assistant position. You don't have, and that's the way it's done. It's a national party, but there is a concerted move for APGA to be just an instrument to just get the governorship of Anambra State, and they will all have their money to share, and it's no longer a political party. That's what it is. And nobody wants to call it out. That's exactly what it is. And they turn it into a major Ponzi scheme. That's not what APGA is. APGA is a party that had their convention in Owerri, proper executives emerge, and they represent the interest of Nigeria, and particularly the South, because the Southeasterners love APGA. I don't know why.
Very interesting, I must say. This might sound a bit direct, but
Please.
My question is it possible to have an Igbo president in a country like Nigeria?
It is possible for a president to come from anywhere. I think Nigeria, the world has gone to a stage whereby everybody wants the best. You understand? And in Nigeria at the moment, we talk about an Hausa man, an Igbo man. The problem the man in Monogonu is suffering is the same the man in Imo State is suffering. And if things are allowed to play out naturally, a president can emerge from the Southeast. I come back to Africa because that's where I've suffered. Right. A question has been asked, why was it when a 5th columnist, when I was removed as, I was suspended as national chairman in 2019, immediately I was suspended through a court in Jigawa State. INEC immediately recognized him. That same case went up to the Supreme Court, and Supreme Court dismissed it and told them to reinstate me, and they've not done it till today. These are the little things why that your question is very pertinent. Those are the things that make it very difficult for an Igbo man to be president, because there is disarray. The people will no longer be at ease. The center does not hold.
So just to piggyback on that question, and I would like to add mine to it. Now, is there a possibility that maybe Igbo stakeholders, political stakeholders now, can cross the political divide and say, okay, fine, we are Igbo people, let's make a conscious effort to promote an Igbo candidate and have a consensus candidate for the Igbo nation? Is there a possibility?
That is now, after the letter that was written by the former presiding, the retired presiding judge, which now gave us, it has killed the whole talk about APGA. We've already started them before, but we're talking with one leg because we're not quite standing firmly, and INEC has not. INEC will recognize us now. The thing is, that process has to be put into place. But there's something she said at the beginning. There is no way you can have a president of, from the north or from the west or from the east without bringing the other zones into play. You've got to talk about it. It's got to be by dialogue. You understand? And because the true leaders have not sat on their chairs, it's very difficult for that dialogue to take place. You understand? There's a gentleman, P2B, who is really doing well nationally. I knew you were going to come to that.
Exactly.
Doing nationally in Labour Party. But you notice now that APGA has got a leadership. People will now need to sit down and talk, as he's been. If you notice, he's been so shy of talking with, because he's spoken with NNPP, so he spoke with PDP, he spoke. Well, he can't come out and start talking in APGA, because who is he talking to? Is he talking to a clown? Sorry, let me not call him a clown. Is he talking to someone who is parading himself? He can't speak to him. There can be no discussion with him. He can't. And so I don't blame the gentleman when he's blamed and they said he's not talking with it. Because who is he? Is he just going to see my driver now and start talking to him? No, he can't do that. It's got to be a true leadership of that political arm that is prevalent in the Southeast.
So is it that there's no representative to talk to, or is it a nature of a grudge or something that's
No, there's no grudge. Let me give you an example. Politics is politics, medicine is medicine, law is law. When you talk about politics, you talk to the politicians.
Right.
You understand? When you have removed by a game somewhere the leadership of the main political arm in the Southeast and brought in someone, put a red cap on his head, and you are now looking for who to talk to. You go and talk to. You will be walking around the table, round and round, till you find the true leadership there. The discussions will start happening. Whether it's going to go that way or that way, but then a serious discussion will take place.
All right. Well, still talking about the leadership crisis within APGA. There's one of the prominent politicians that we actually have from APGA is the governor of Anambra State.
Okay.
Yeah. Has there been any move on his part to actually intervene in this particular tussle?
You see, as I said on this program some time ago as well, he's between the devil and the deep blue sea, in that it was through that other side that he came in. We are not chasing him, we are not fighting him. And there's loyalty in politics. The very minute he comes to start talking with me, those people start saying, have you now left us that made you governor? So but the buck stops with him. He needs to, and as I said on the press conference I did, I said, that he needs to rise to the occasion. The mark of a leader is the big decisions you make. So he should now put himself in history to make some difficult decisions. He could get up now and say, no, I will not support you. It's a big decision. Or we need to shield our swords and move forward. He needs to make a serious decision. As governor, the only governor that APGA has.
All right. Well, still talking about the APGA issue. We've had conversations about this before on this program concerning this issue. And well, currently with this back and forth that's currently going on right now, your presidential campaign seems to have stalled a little bit. And that is also
very sad
in its own crisis.
Very sad.
So what's the situation with that now?
Well, you see, that's the same play that is at hand. You know, when a little thing has been done, it looks as if it's little, but it's a major thing. There's a play to hold down APGA. If there wasn't, there should be no crisis in APGA. Once the Supreme Court has made, even with, I will leave a copy of this letter with you, even with the letter, it's a one-page letter, even with how the presiding judge of the court has said that Oye has no business and no benefit from that judgment should he be able to benefit from. And he's still being recognized. It's just like taking, as I said, someone from, I'm putting him in my chair, and then you expect all the stakeholders around to talk to him. It's going to be very, very difficult. So that could be the concerted effort to hold down APGA and the politics in the Southeast. So the Southeasterners as well should rise to the occasion and know that it's affecting all of it. It's not just an APGA thing. The politics in the Southeast cannot breed without having true representation that the people believe in. And then you notice that you start having all different kinds of sections calling themselves unknown government, they're trying to express it in the wrong manner.
Okay.
But that's what happens.
Now, in trying to connect with other regions in Nigeria, how far have you gone?
We've gone very, very far. And as people know, our executive in APGA, which is the one that INEC is not quite recognizing at the moment, despite a Supreme Court judgment, the spread is wide. You understand? And you have from everywhere. And they've been talking. But you know, when you've not gotten that recognition from INEC, the talk is not as solid as it should be. But people are talking. But now that the Supreme Court have come out and the judges have said, no, we made that amendment and you are the national chairman of the party. They removed national chairman, you're back in your seat. People are beginning to say, wow, something has to be done. And the elections are next year, early next year. So the most important period is over that Christmas period. And I hope that we've resolved that problem during that period so that we can bring the politics to another level. I hope to be sitting down here to be given a better report than we're talking. So the report is very, very poor, but it's sad. And it's not our making. It's just a making of some hands. I don't know where the hands are coming from.
Well, all right. So now let's generalize it a little bit, slightly from Afghan, of course, from the southeast completely. Let's talk about Nigeria now and the general elections. What is your general view of the upcoming elections now? How important is it? How key is it?
So important, so key. Nigeria, the world generally is in a I wouldn't say we're in a quagmire. We're in a very precarious period in the world generally. If you're talking about power, we're trying to move, the world is trying to move to cleaner energy. We are still fighting on how to sort out our fossil fuel energy, which sometimes I ask myself, well, many people are having a plan. When do we move away from this into this? We are still fighting how we are going to improve our capacity on this. So, and there are a lot of highly educated, exceptional people in this country who are propping up the economies of other countries. If for any reason a proper election is done, I keep using that word proper election because I'm suffering in the hands of INEC as well. So I'm a bit skeptical if a proper election is done and whoever emerges, no matter what party, no matter how small, and Nigerians are agreeable that this is their leader, that person will move forward.
Well, you spoke about suffering in the hands of INEC. Are you skeptical about INEC's capacity?
Not at all. I'm not skeptical about their capacity, but I'm very worried. You know, I've never, let me assume I've not dealt with you before, and their actions are now, there's certain things I do that you can't quite understand. You're going to be very apprehensive of every other thing I'm trying to do. You understand? If someone else says I should give you a lift from here to Hilton, you're going to be sitting in the car wondering what next is he going to do.
Right.
All right, so let's just drill down a little bit on that, on the relationship with INEC now. The Supreme Court has made a judgment, but INEC is still stalling on the implementation. So how goes that conversation now?
I like the word you use, relationship. I don't need to have a relationship with INEC. INEC just needs to do the right thing. You know, Nigeria has got to learn whether I like you or not.
Right.
That what's right is right. You understand? I don't need to have a relationship with them. I don't even need to know anyone there. If a Supreme Court has given a judgment, it needs to be looked at clearly. It has, in the history of Nigeria, a Supreme Court judge has never come out after they've given a judgment to comment on the judgment publicly or in writing. This one, let alone a retired judge who was the presiding judge, coming out and telling the world, telling me that there was a press conference that a gentleman, the director of media, Akande, made, saying that they should disregard my CTCs, that on the corrected judgment. She came out to say that the media man in the Supreme Court was what he said was false and a misconception. You know, such things have not happened before. And for such a thing to be done, you know that there's been a travesty of justice. A terrible thing has happened. No matter how I look strong and every day I call my brave, it's a terrible thing. For 4 years, we've been fighting for justice. So whether INEC likes me or not, I don't think they dislike me because I've never had anything to do with them. Or if they have other friends, it doesn't matter the relationship you have with any other. It doesn't matter if Soludo is a governor. Sometimes they say to me, so what's the fate of Soludo? That's not, I have nothing against him. What it is that I am the national chairman of APGA. You give me what's due to me, me and my executive. Forget about what's on the side. It's not how things are done. Right should be right.
Absolutely. I like it on that ends it for us, and it just, you know, it's just right on the cap. Thank you so much for coming on the program this morning, and we hope to have you next time as usual.
Thank you very much indeed. Thank you. Thank you very much.
All right, sir. Thank you very much for having you. All right, sir. All right, so we'll take a short break right now, and when we return, Daybreak continues. Do stay with us. All right, welcome back to Daybreak on Trust TV. Now let's move on to other issues. The former FIFA president, Sepp Blatter, now has questioned the right of Qatar to host the 2022 World Cup. Well, according to him, Qatar is the smallest host by size since the 1954 tournament in Switzerland, adding that football and the World Cup are too big for that. Now, we will discuss this alongside other footballing activities with our Trust TV sports producer and presenter, Adeni Ajishafe. Welcome to the show.
The way you pronounce it, and I'm sure he's happy that you pronounce it.
So deep, kind of, as if, well, maybe the money can actually earn you $1 billion.
They should, they should remember your name.
Good one. Thanks for having me.
All right, it's nice to have you on the show. All right, so let's start with the World Cup. Sepp Blatter came out. There's lots of controversy surrounding, you know, Qatar since the bidding process. Money, they said money changed hands, some people, you know, and all this controversy, and now all the things with the LGBT and whatnot. And now Sepp Blatter coming to say it was actually a mistake to offer the hosting rights to Qatar. What is the general feeling regarding this?
Well, first of all, will you stop Qatar from hosting the World Cup now?
No, we can't do that.
So, I see, at times, it's always very funny when something that the deed that isn't done. Nothing can change it. World Cup is starting on 28th. Today is what? Today is 10. Then let's say 3 days ago, when he said that, or 4 days ago rather, and if you add 4 to 10, 14 days before the World Cup, you are now saying Qatar doesn't deserve to get it. It was supposed to be for US, Michel Platini, blah, 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 all those. It won't change anything. Qatar will host this World Cup. Nothing will happen. And the fact that he was mentioning maybe money change hand this, we know what happened while he was there for those 17 years. We also know what happened when he was taken to court, while he was removed, what involved himself and Michel Platini. And if Sepp Blatter, with all due respect, is now coming out that, okay, maybe he wasn't supporting Qatar to have gotten that particular bid or not to host the World Cup for 2022. But he couldn't stop it. It happened.
Yeah, a lot of
what about those ones that he too supported the money that changed hands?
A lot of people are actually saying that he lacks the credibility to even
talk about it because he was there as a head. Aside that, there was a lot of there have been a lot of issues where he was also pinned to the wall, where money changed hands too. He couldn't clear that. So why talking about this one now? That maybe because people are looking at weather and all that, but something must just be done. We just need to change. At least let's even have a feel. This World Cup will be changing because for normal World Cup comes up in the mid of the year, yes. But now it's changing because of they have to consider the weather. And even despite that, the place is still going to be hot, but we just have to, Qatar is part of the world. And I see no reason why Middle East doesn't deserve to be given that chance to host the World Cup. Are they in Pluto or Uranus? So, seriously, they are part of the world.
Qatar that very tiny, that it's incapable.
But are they not rich enough? Are they not developed enough? It's not, let's be sincere with ourselves. If you are saying tiny doesn't come in here. It's about development, infrastructure. Do they have what it takes to host the world? They have it. They are, in fact, for the first time in the history of the whole world, they have a particular stadium there that is a stadium you can dismantle it and take it to another place to set up. No one has ever done that. It's in Qatar now. That will be at the World Cup. And you are saying they are small. What does size has to do with
capability?
Exactly. So, as long as they have the money, this is an oil nation, they have enough money. Even though there are issues concerning welfare of workers and work at the state and all that, yes, I'm very sure there is no nation in the world that you will not find one thing or the other that's not going well. So let's not nail Qatar to the world that, hey, oh, Blatter himself. Let's be candid.
There's lots of questions.
Oh, come on, lots of questions. Despite the fact that it's 86.
All right. So before we move away from the World Cup, I would like to ask this question. Do you think that all this controversy surrounding the World Cup will actually take the attention away from the football, or we'll forget all of this craziness when that whistle gets blown?
right now is already buzzing. It's showing that the world, even though we are not going to the World Cup, yes, we know. But despite that, if you go out there, people are waiting for that first whistle or that opening match. Really, it won't take anything away from maybe Qatar will host or not. Despite all the brouhaha following this particular nation, I just believe they have what it takes. Let's be candid with ourselves. The stadia are ready. They are ready. They even relapse. They drop down their standard of or way of life just to suit the world.
The people that are coming.
You understand? Let's be candid with ourselves. At least just to suit the whole global people that will be coming to play in Qatar. So right now, I won't take anything away from the fact that let's enjoy this Mundial, as it's called. Let's enjoy this football tournament. Let's see what Qatar will actually offer, and then let's see what they can prove that yes, the fact that you gave all this bid. Is not
make you proud.
That's it. Let's enjoy some Middle East dates.
So unfortunately, we're not going.
Well, we're going to watch from our homes.
But is that what we're supposed to do?
Talking about watching from our homes, there are lots of other players that their nations will be going, but they will not be able to make it to Qatar. But Heung-min Son came out a few days ago to say actually he is going to the World Cup because he was ruled out. Paul Pogba has been ruled out. Reece James has been ruled out, and a few other players as well. Do you think that will take away from the quality of what we're going to see on the pitch?
I don't think it will take away any quality. It's just that every World Cup that comes, I've never seen any World Cup that you won't see one kind of news that gets you scared. Oh, this player is not going to the World Cup. I still remember David Beckham nearly, in fact, he was rushed to play against Nigeria at the World Cup because he was their main man. So right now that we are hearing about Reece James and all the people that won't be going, in fact, and it's not if people are saying maybe Sadio Mane is injured, he won't go, or he will be able to play. That won't change anything.
And some controversy.
World Cup is there.
Some controversy as well. Brazil released their squad, and Bobby Firmino was actually missing, and a lot of people raised eyebrows about that. Where a 30-something-year-old Dani Alves was actually taken in his place.
Well, I think right now, no matter what we say, no matter what people say, or pundits or analysts across the globe, Tite has done what he wants to do. At times, you know, there are some analyses that I just look at. This doesn't change anything. The 26 players have been announced, and Firmino is not going, Alves is going. Why? The coach knows better. Maybe because of experience and all that. But we'll quickly chip in something. Maybe, you know, a lot of people out there will be like, why are we really focusing on World Cup right now? But really, something happened yesterday. Nigerians are not happy.
I was going to come to that. I was going to come to that. I really was going to come to that, actually. Plateau United, what happened?
Well, even though so painful, because it's as if this year, what's happening to Nigerian football, one way or the other, we really missed out in so many competitions this year. World Cup, the Chan. We are not going. Ghana will be going to the World Cup. Ghana will be going to the Chan. And you look at the
CAF Champions League. We don't have representation.
Two competitions. We had 4 teams. Now we are just left with only one. We started with Remo, you understand, and Rivers and Plateau and all that. They went, and right now, 3 are down. For Plateau United, you just asked me. I still don't understand how to comprehend.
They won the first leg convincingly. I mean, like
it was the goal they considered here that actually caused this.
But still.
Now, look at it. Against Experience of Tunisia, the same thing happened. You saw that coming. You played well against Experience. You were able to manage. Then they defeated you on the away goal rule, right? You should have worked on, okay, this thing shouldn't happen again. I thought they said the experience is best teacher, but this time around, this experience not be best teacher at all. Seriously.
Is this like kind of going to demoralize the team in the long run?
Right now, they are out of the competition after the same thing that happened to them against Experience happened to them. In fact, this time around, they have 4-1, right? 3 goals. When they scored the 2 goals, can't we just, you should have at least, like as we speak in Nigerian English parlance, die there. Making that die there. So that third goal will not enter. Because it was the third goal that sealed the deal for Al-Aqsa.
They considered it a stoppage.
Yes, and the stoppage time. Why couldn't you just die there and make sure the third goal wouldn't enter, so that you have that advantage of that 1 goal that will get you to the group stage, and they allow that goal. I still don't know what happened. It's like a lot of people are saying, and you know, Nigerians, when something happens, they put emotion to it and they should beat the entire team. I saw somebody tweeting that the entire team should be locked up and flogged. I'm like, wow. Then some people say, the coach, this.
Exactly. But really, how much blame should go to the manager?
Well, both of them, some to the manager, some to the players. Because, you know, like Maradona said, the coach will tell you what to do, but by the time you get on the pitch, the football can just be different. Now, no matter how the football changed yesterday, they're supposed to remember that we need this. We are not supposed to concede more than 2 goals. If the third goal enters and we don't have time to equalize, we are done. And that was what happened.
And they kept the clean sheet.
No matter how, no matter how poor the coach was, the player should know that no matter what happened, the coach can go or he can stay, but they will be there. Why can't we just fight for our names, fight for Plateau Star, fight for Nigeria? This is Nigeria now, because this is continental competition. It's so painful for Plateau United, but at least it was a mixed reaction. Good one for Rivers. They made us proud. We're happy that at least if we fall for here, we will fall for here. Let's celebrate that one. They qualified. They scored 1-1.
Yes, they played 1-1.
It ended 1-1. It ended at 1-1, and it actually turned out to be 6-1 aggregate. That was a good one. They never allowed that to deter. When Al-Nasri scored, they got one back, courtesy of Mwagwa. Exactly. And that made it 1-1. If you add 1 + 5, they did here. There was no goal scored here. That's somebody, a team that knows their onions. Plateau United, with all due respect, really, they dampened the spirit of Nigeria, who really followed them yesterday. And for Bayelsa Queens, well, another tough one. We lost against Morocco team, that is ASFA, and so painful that ASFA defeated us 1-0. 1-0. Our ladies tried for the first time, although I don't know what happened to our football. When it comes to women, we have been dominating, but this time when it comes to club football for women, we are not getting it right. Mamelodi Sundown and ASFA will be facing themselves in final. We will still be fighting for 3rd place against Simba FC of Tunisia, and hopefully, if we can win against Simba, I don't know if they will hire the Simba.
No, but the thing is, if you look at the performance of the Queens now, when you juxtapose it with that of the Angels last
far better. It is far better. We have never gotten to this. This is the second time we got to the semi-finals. Before we were bonded out by ASFA, the host nation, and the support was massive. But right now, we're facing Simba, and there's still hope for a 3rd place finish. That would be nice.
Yeah, so we're moving in the right direction.
After all, we celebrated the golden bronze of Flamingo. Let's celebrate.
Exactly. Women are making.
Yes, and
look at this. What interests me.
Good, I like that because this year, despite all the odds against Nigerian football, especially football, Nigerian ladies, they really came on top to save Nigeria. When it comes to sport, look at Commonwealth Games, look at all the achievements from Toby, from Asisa to Shuala, when no man from Nigeria could even smell top 10 in the rating rather. And you look at the ladies now, CAF Champions League, the women version. We are playing for the 3rd place. Our men, we are struggling to play CAF Confederation.
We're in the Champions League.
CAF Confederation, we are no longer there. The 2nd tier of CAF Interclub competition, we are playing the from the way it is now, we have only a team left. Just a team that will be playing in the group stage, and we are hoping and praying. You understand? So for Bayelsa Queens, at least they tried their best. So we celebrate
at least they died there.
Yes, they died there. I like that. Yes, they died there.
That brings me to this, my next question. How much do we need to reinvest, in what would I describe it now? In women sports, how much do we need to invest?
We really need to encourage them. Just recently, there was an award ceremony to celebrate them, Shiro's Award, that we actually covered. It was held yesterday, and the organizer of that award deemed it fit to look at those women that are doing us proud. Really, even though we focus more on football, but at least something worthy of note, that they even deem it fit to organize some to favor the women, because it has been more dominant when it comes to trying to balance the gender now. But really, if it comes to women in sport, they really need a lot of attention. It's getting more interesting now when women are playing football. Gone are those days when you're like, who is playing women? But now you want to watch because they are very fast. They are technically gifted. They show skill that you be like, are they girls? Really? Some of these teams can actually beat some boys or men's team. So kudos to them. And now they need to be supported, really. NFF, Nigerian government, state government, local government, just look at these ladies out there doing sport, it's not easy to do sport. A lot of people just see it as mere fun. It's not. It's a real, just the way you are here walking. Sportsmen are also doing their job walking there. So it's something that we need to see as business, as work, as something that can put food on the table. Absolutely. Those girls you see, most of them are breadwinners of their families.
Right.
That they are waiting for the proceeds that will be coming from that particular competition they actually compete. Whatever comes, they go back home, their parents or their family will be able to at least get something from it. So we need to support these girls. That the fact that they deem it fit to put their time, energy, health, just to make sure, oh, we want to do this for ourselves and also for our nation, Nigerian first. And they are doing that for this country. We need to support them financially, morally, give them whatever it takes. Not just to take them to be the second feed, no. Let's give them what it takes to support them. If Morocco, South Africa, England, Germany are really giving attention to these women, look at the US women team, how they are celebrated. They are collecting the same salary, just the way the men are collecting.
Yes.
So, what says we can't do that here? Let's support them. They have been bringing so much joy.
You know, somebody said something on social media when Toby won, you know, that medal. And then the person was like, well, it seems like in a country like Nigeria, women athletes, or rather sports women, do not get recognized within our own country, except they're doing it internationally. And then we are all celebrating, oh, she's a Nigerian and all of that. Do you think that is the case?
Yes, like I said, we just have to look at it in a way of, okay, these girls, they've made us proud. I'm sure they didn't write when Toby won that medal. They wrote she represented Nigeria. They didn't write Ghana there. They didn't write Congo there. It was Nigeria they mentioned. So why can't we Nigerians, as a government, as people, corporate bodies, see that, okay, at least we are happy they are getting ambassadorial roles now. They are being supported. Okay, go and do this, go and do that. But really, we need to see beyond, oh, they are just competing. No, we need to see that no matter what they do, Nigeria will be put at that particular dot on the world map. Toby Amusan this year made Nigeria so popular, in fact, so emotional. I remember when she was crying, when that Nigerian flag, national anthem was actually sung and our flag was hosted. And I saw the joy, but out of the joy, she cried. And a lot of Nigerians also cried because you felt, wow, my country. You feel among that moment. So imagine if she didn't win. You understand? But the fact that she won that thing brought so much emotion, goosebumps across all Nigeria, in fact, everywhere, both in those in diaspora or those within. So if you look at that particular scenario, now imagine if you put more attention that we give to Super Eagles, to Super Falcons. Even if it's not 100, let's even get it up to 70%. The attention we give to under 17 Golden Eaglet, Flying Eagles, let's give it to Falconets and we saw what they did at the World Cup. They came third.
Exactly.
Our team, yes, we know we are good at when it comes to junior, but recently, what has happened to our football for men? Look at the women, what they have done also when it comes to competing in all these other sports. Why don't we give such that attention that we give to the men? At least let's push the women. Let's see what they can do. They are really doing well. Seriously, putting Nigeria at that world map.
All right, women in sports in Nigeria are doing fantastic, and we all need to support them.
Maybe they should make me their advocate.
maybe we should do that. It's been wonderful having you on the show. It actually feels good to have you on the other side.
Of course, you are still
coming. All right, Trust TV sports producer, presenter Adeniyi Ajishafe.
And there you go with the pronunciation.
It's deep. Our names are very deep in Africa. We need to celebrate our names.
We need to celebrate our names.
Our names are very meaningful. If I tell you the meaning of those names, you offer me some money.
We'll discuss that after the show. All right, this is how we're going to wrap up the show this morning. It's been an amazing time bringing you Daybreak today from the Trust TV. Let's do it all again tomorrow. I am Ibrahim Yusuf.
And I'm Zainab Bala. See you tomorrow.